Okay. Okay, you're right.
Grapevine, baby.
Jeremy spends all of his time thinking about what he's going to open the podcast with every single time. And actually, I'm surprised because he switched it up this time.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Can you feel it?
I can feel it.
Oh, man. Is that you over there, SVC?
It's me. Meow meow.
All right. Although in all honesty, it took me a while to find the vibe today.
It takes you a while every time.
That's also true. Welcome back, y'all. It's 2023. First time hearing us this year.
And that doesn't feel correct, but I guess it is.
It kind of is. That's all right. We ended it, and we told you
I
to be
just feel
back.
like we were just here not that long ago. Oh, because you and I were just here not that long ago.
It was.
But we weren't here.
We weren't
We
here.
were scheming
So,
for things to come.
TTG listeners, we are still in the beautiful Livermore Valley at the Advanced Creative Studio. I'm J-Team in the kitchen. Some people call me Jeremy. That's SVC over there, a.k.a. Savannah Banana. And it's season 5, baby. Season 5. A lot of things to celebrate this weekend. This is season 5, episode 1 for us. Altamont just shared a 10-year anniversary with Crawdad Republic over at Camp Del Arroyo through one hell of a party. Debate is still up to whose party it was. But all I know is they rocked out over there. So, how you been? Welcome back, SVC. What's going on in the world of Banana?
You know, I'm alive and I'm here, and that's what counts.
I got to get the sound bite of "I'm alive" because that's one of your catchphrases or one of the things Savannah says. I'm alive.
It's my way of trying to stay positive when internally maybe I'm not. It's my way of trying to manifest the good energy to me and to not be a fucking downer.
That's
I'm alive.
That's all right. We got a bunch of uppers here with us today, so we won't have a problem with that. There it is. And let's just get after it because you can see them a little bit. They can bullshit with the intro with us. Savannah, take it away, would you?
Yeah. So today we have, well, she's not the third. I won't go there. We have Grace and Matt. They are the owners of the gym that you guys hear a lot about because I talk about it a lot. CFL, that's CrossFit Livermore. We're actually just down the road. So we brought them on today because, as you guys know, pretty much every January and February, I do a nutrition challenge that Grace and Matt host. It's definitely Grace's. Matt is definitely the co-host. I just want to make that very clear.
Yeah, I'm the assistant.
Thank you.
The assistant.
They do it every year, and it's really, to me, I always look forward to it. It's a great way to kind of start my new year and start my life, and it's something that's been a big part of my life, and we want to bring them in because I think there's many crossover ways that we talk about food and beverage, and that's kind of what they do as well with the nutrition challenge, and not just that, but throughout the entire gym overall. So that's who we have here. Grace,
well, hell yeah.
you want to give a little hi? Matt,
Welcome to the show, guys.
What's up, guys?
It's
Thanks
a pleasure to
having
have
us.
you. Shit.
I'm just freaking stoked to be here. This place is like 110% professional, and I just get into the vibe. Like I'm like, this is like Breakfast Club. This is KFRC 99.7 for all you ones that remember that
I feel like
out
this
there.
is about to be very expensive
This
next week for
is
us at home.
good.
He's like, but we could do this with the opposite. But you know those
we'll just keep
live-
rocking it here.
Best yet, it's here
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah, it's already here. It's set up. I walked
And
in
there's
and sat
literally
down.
people doing all the other stuff in that room.
I know, right?
for
So
us,
yeah,
which
shout
is
out to the back of the
best
house,
part.
right? As
Yeah.
always,
Yeah,
John and
shout
Doug. No Rory today, but union break, mandated union break. It's important. It happens.
Listen, when you're that cute, you can just make your own
Wait till you
hours.
guys meet Rory.
He is.
That's usually what
Is this
sparks.
like a person or maybe like a dog or
It's
like a
just-
person?
If you, I want you to make music,
dog
guys.
person.
dog person. Ah.
You know
Interesting.
me. What do you think it is?
I would
A dog, 100%.
hope it was a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Rory's a dog. He's
I
a
feel
very
really
cute
good
guy.
at deciding what's happening here. Is it really a dog?
Yeah.
Really a dog.
Okay,
Really,
okay,
really
okay,
a dog.
He's a very cute guy. He's
Yeah.
the mascot of this
When
place.
I walk out of here and I meet Rory and I have to look him in the eye and he's a person, it's gonna put me in a
It's gonna be great.
He's he's like a person on the inside
Yeah.
of that furry little skull for
When he's
sure.
just got
Aren't they all?
these sweet little feet that
Yeah.
get so excited. But he'll be back. He'll
I
be back.
truly at this point still don't know if this is a man or a dog, but either way, I'm willing to find out. Can't wait.
He's still sweet regardless.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
You'll see him in full form soon. But hey, thanks for joining us. We're happy to have you.
Thanks for having us. We're stoked to be here.
Heck yeah. So, this has traditionally been a very hospitality, food and beverage centric podcast. But we get weird all over the place and all the time. And we have fun interviewing various aspects of our community and whatnot. This is a gym that we spend a lot of time at, some more than others. But
when you show up, Jeremy, you're fucking
You
there.
kill it.
You're
100%.
there when you show up. You may not show up
I
all
was
the
saying
time,
that this
but when
morning.
you're
I was
there,
like, fake it till you make it. Because
Yeah.
like, really, I'm just
You're-
like terrified of the
you're there.
workout.
Vibe, yeah. No, just
no, you come in with like the best energy every time too.
I really
I like
like
waving at
the-
you when
yeah.
I'm like when you're coming in at 6:30. I'm there at 5:30.
Everyone's sweating like animals. I really like the stretching part, and then the workout happens, and you're like, here we go. There's no turning back, and then they hit that clock, and it's 10.
Well, that's what we tell
9.
people all the time because I mean, so much like one of the biggest things, and we're joking about it now, but people are just terrified to come in there because they don't really understand what it is that we do and what CrossFit actually is. They see all the crazy stuff on the internet and the fake pull-ups. I know you guys out there, you're always claiming our pull-ups are fake.
Yet you still couldn't do the fake pull-ups if you tried.
Well.
Weird.
I don't. Hold on. I don't think we need to bash them quite yet. We'll get them in the building first. But yeah, it's. I mean, the two people
Very
that I just
inviting, very
recently
inviting.
had that just came in was like. I always say the same thing, especially like when they walk in and you kind of see they got that nervous look on their face. They're kind of looking around. I'm like, scale of 1 to 10, how terrified are you right now? And they like laugh and they're like a 10. I'm like, fantastic. We'll see if we could bring that to an 8 by the time you leave. And like they kind of laugh and we break the ice because so many people have, false ideas about exactly what it is we do or what will happen to them. And I think that you guys are a good example of showing that like it's a lot of fun, and we joke because it is an intense workout. But the fun part about it is that you meet a lot of really cool people there, and you get to do it at your own pace. So it's nothing to be too afraid about because we do break it down, make it simple, and make it to where you could start at where you are at today, right when you walk through the door.
Well, I think a lot of times too, like I can remember even when I first started, it took like a few months for me to like get rid of just like weird pre-workout anxiety.
Oh, for sure.
And then it completely switches. So you have like weird pre-workout anxiety where you're like, literally, I'm fine. Nothing bad to me happens when I go there, but like you're anticipating something bad, and then someday it just literally switches, and then you have anxiety because you're not there because you like didn't do a workout. Now you're like, I need to go there so I can get rid of whatever anxiety. Like it's a stress reliever. So I think that's something that's interesting about working out in general, or something that I experienced at the gym when I first started.
I love that you
good
said that
point.
the anxiety went away because I think I'm 23. We're 12 years into it. I still feel that every time. But
Before the workout, is that because you don't warm up?
well,
Shots fired.
that's not wrong. No, but I think there's something of like having a place that you know that you get to do hard things and you get to practice doing hard things, and then you make it through. We're still alive. We make it to the other side.
Yeah.
And it makes everything else you do in the rest of your day a lot easier.
Well,
It does.
and you guys were transitioning into it. So, I mean, tell us exactly what CrossFit is and what CFL is for those who only think it's just like Spartan warrior workouts with like blood and guts.
Blood
everywhere.
and tears and guts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the basis of what we build our workouts with: blood, sweat, and tears. Do you want me to take it?
Yeah.
Okay, so
You do CrossFit, I'll do CFL.
okay, fantastic.
What makes
Okay.
us the special ones.
So CrossFit, a lot of people have a lot of different ideas about CrossFit. And in the recent, I would say the last 5 years, it's been mostly perceived as a sport because people will see it on ESPN or they see this extreme, exercise routines that a lot of these people at the highest level are doing. And really what CrossFit boils down to is it's a mixed modality training. And what mixed modality means, just to break that down, is it means we do some cardio, some running, some biking, some rowing. We do some gymnastics, some pull-ups, some air squats, some burpees, some push-ups. And then we also do some weightlifting with a barbell. So your traditional squat, your traditional deadlift, your traditional press, and then some Olympic lifts, which not a lot of people are familiar with those, but they're getting more familiarized as CrossFit's popularity has grown, which is snatch and clean and jerk. And basically what we do is we take those movements and we mix them up as creatively as possible. So you get a full total body workout and it's done within an hour. It starts with a little whiteboard debrief so you'll understand what it is you're doing for that day. We'll do a little general warm up just to get the blood flowing, because if you go to CFL, if you've been in there, you know it is cold AF.
It is.
There's no insulation.
Chile.
And it's inside of a warehouse of a gym, as most typical CrossFit or the warehouse of a building is where the gym is at. And that's typical of most CrossFit gyms because you just need basically a lot of big, wide open space and high ceilings. So they're typically found in warehouse light industrial settings. So once we get that core temperature raised up with our general warm up, we go into some stretching and some mobility, which we all know that even if you guys might have your movements down, you go to 24-hour fitness, you ain't stretching. Don't kid yourself. You get in there, you get antsy, you spend more time shuffling through your damn playlist than you do actually working on the range of motion in your body.
Shots fired.
And we know that that's true. We know that that's true. So this is the best part about the CrossFit class, is because when you come in and we take you through those stretches and that mobility, it's an organized routine that most people just avoid. So after the stretching, we get into a little bit of drill work, because oftentimes we are doing some different gymnastic skills or some barbell movements. So we'll spend a little bit of time re-drilling those, going over, setting a movement pattern, deciding what our points of performance are for that day. We spend a little time with the barbell, doing a little strength training or a little practice. If you're new to it, if it's practice. If you've been around a while, it's a little strength training. And then after we finish that up, we go into our workout. And that's what these guys are talking about with that pre-workout anxiety, because at that point, we know what the workout is. It's set. The coach is seeing you do the movements. We've given you some feedback on those movements. You have your game plan for the workout. We get everybody ready to rock after a short bathroom break. We turn the music up. The clock counts down 3, 2, 1.
Very dramatic.
And that's what everybody, and it's dramatic. And the reason why I pause and have that tonality is because that's what, as we were discussing earlier, is the pre-workout kind of quote unquote anxiety. But it's fun because I always tell people that, when else in your life throughout your day do you experience that, right? When else do you have this moment of like, oh my gosh, this is exciting. I'm here voluntarily. I'm a little nervous about it. I don't know how it's going to go. And then on the other side of that, the workout finishes, the clock ends. We all go for a little cool down walk or walk around the building. You high five, and then the drugs kick in. Yeah. And that's the best part. And I think there's a unique thing with the with CrossFit is because when you have that little pre-workout anxiety of, oh my gosh, the music's up, the timer's counting down, everybody's moving fast around me, but then you get on the other side of that. Because let me make this part about CrossFit, especially CrossFit Livermore, perfectly clear. Nobody cares what time you got. Nobody cares what you did on the workout. But one thing everybody does care about, that you did all your reps. So we'll just leave that where it's at. But basically, it doesn't matter how fast or how slow you go. It's about you and it's about your own pace, and you're using the people around you as motivation just to maybe work a little bit harder, make me work a little bit longer than you normally would on your own. Outside of that, there is no competition. You get to decide what that means for you personally. It's nothing that we foster inside the gym. But the fun part is when it does end and you get that nice, good like endorphin kick, you get that release. You just suffered with a group of awesome people. Everybody gets to kind of high five. And I always like to remind, especially the early morning classes of this, is that you are doing what 99.9% on this people in this country and basically on the planet are unwilling to do. So even if you walked in through the door, you stepped in through the door, you've gone through the warm up again, it doesn't matter what weights you're using, it doesn't matter how long it took you to get through it. You've already accomplished what 99.9% of the people aren't even willing to freaking try. So you get to leave with that sense of pride each and every single time. And then you start to build the community people around you, which is going to be mostly what CFL is. And we'll let Grace Alicious break that down.
Oh, Grace Alicious.
I think it should stay.
That was a transition.
I like
there.
that.
That was a transition.
New Instagram handle?
Yeah. Shoot. Yeah.
Grace Alicious.
Wow. 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 Stepping right into that.
Well, here we go. CFL. I mean, shit.
So what is it?
I think one of the most important things about understanding, like what you were saying, that's CrossFit in general. Every single CrossFit gym is a completely separate entity. Like they don't, other than knowing that they you've been given this general education of what you're saying of the way to mix workouts and kind of like what each gym is getting after in terms of like the workout kind of fitness. Every single gym that stands can run it however they want to run it. So someone that comes in and says, I've done CrossFit before. And you're like, okay, what was your experience? And they said, terrible. And you're like, well, it doesn't sound like you came to CFL. But every gym gym owners can write their own programming. So the workouts are different. The vibe is different. What they focus on is different. If they focus on like injury prevention, if they stretch more, that's kind of like what CrossFit says as its like basis, but you can take and spin it however you want to spin it. So You can go into a gym that's absolutely fantastic and say you've done CrossFit. You can go into a gym that's probably shouldn't still be happening and you can say you've done CrossFit. So that's also one of those things that crosses over. But if you step into CFL, you'll experience something pretty fantastic that we've worked really hard. I don't have any problem saying it and confidently saying how great our gym is because we work our butt off to keep the vibe in there, how the vibe is. So it doesn't just happen by accident. I think when you get a bunch of adults together that are not like overly positive, but are genuinely all working towards being vulnerable and trying their hardest and working their best, and they're able to express that to other people and lead other people to trying their best every day. I think it's an incredible place that you're in. We just the other day had an issue when we were at the Granada High School track with another group that was there to exercise. And it just kind of like reminded me of the positive vibes that we have at CFL because everyone's just there to make each other better and get along and just have the best part of their day.
It was a reminder that what that guy did was something that like literally none of us out of hundreds of members would ever do.
Like, yeah. And you're like, oh, shoot. Yeah, he did not have good vibes.
He did not have good vibes.
You want to arm wrestle?
He had crunchy old man vibes.
And it was just that they were the problem of that specific instance was like they were there. It was their space. They were going to do it. This was how it was run. And all of us were just kind of like, from CFL, we're all like, yeah, man, no, we'll make it work. We're good. You're good. We have this space. You have that space. Like, we're all here for making each other better. And it was just not the vibe. That was just not happening. But
it was very gatekeepy. If like, this is our field. And you're like, well, you actually don't have a permit to be here. And we do. So,
but I think that whole feeling happens. Like I'm saying, like 24 hour. I'm not like hating on 24 hour, but that happens.
You can hate on 24 hour. 24 hours sucks. It's an access only gym. You guys are throwing away your money because you're not getting the results you want. You're showing up and you're just essentially renting the equipment. There's no guard there. So just lay it out exactly how it is. There's no reason to like PG this up. And then I think too, specifically, you should break what the vibe means.
I know. No, I am. That's what I'm saying is when you go into a 24 hour, like you take, so you're saying like it's not competitive at like CrossFit, right? But you take people who are generally like, that's not like our vibe that we,
to be competitive.
Not the vibe that we push aggressively.
Right.
But you take any people who are interested in fitness and interested in making themselves better. And a little bit of that comes with like competition, like a good friendly dose of competition. And with that, very easily spins into worrying more about like what is happening for me in terms of benefiting myself and less about you. And I think that kind of builds in like a 24-hour kind of space of like, this is my space, this is my squat rack, this is what I'm trying to get after. And like, it's not inviting, like inclusive kind of feeling.
Yeah, it's not community focused. It's very like an independent, like I'm here for me and I'm doing it. Like, I think it creates, there's weird tension. And I like, as women, and I can speak to like this experience, so, like there's many women who like absolutely hate that vibe because it's terrible when you go into a place and you're like just renting the equipment because sometimes that is like the reality of people's access. You know, maybe they don't have a CrossFit gym or they don't have a class, and then it's like uncomfortable. You're like, I'm not here to try and like play this like measuring contest with you. Like I'm literally just trying to like use this stuff. Like I don't know why there's like this weird tension everywhere.
But I think that tension, I think that's an easy thing to have because you bring people together who are all kind of trying to do the best for themselves.
Yes.
And in that, it doesn't really like people, it doesn't really like the blend doesn't happen naturally. So the vibe that I was saying at CFL that happens is absolutely not that. And it's something that we experienced on our own when we first started CrossFit like a billion years ago. And something that we think is important to keep because it's like this crazy special, unique feeling that you can get when you go into a place. And that is that everyone can be vulnerable. Everyone can work to do their best. But at the same time, you're in a community of people who are your other half of your job is to make sure that they're doing their best because that spins back around and dumps back to you like tenfold. So by me trying my best and you being next to me doing twice the amount of weight that I'm doing, it doesn't matter. We're both just trying like our 10 out of 10 for the day. Me giving it to you, you turn around, you cheer for me when it's hard for me. And it kind of is just this like spiral that happens. So every person that comes into our place, the people that have been there and are members of our gym, they want those people to experience that same thing they had because they're like, listen, this is the coolest feeling in the world. It's this place you can go. I want you to feel it. So then our members do their best job to bring in people, like when someone comes in, to bring them into it. people automatically experience it. They want to pass it on.
To be friendly, inclusive, and like encouraging to each other. And I think one thing that I've noticed at the gym too is that people who that doesn't fit their mindset, what they're looking for, and maybe they're kind of dickish, or maybe they got like their own ego thing going on, they very quickly naturally find themselves like away. Like they don't,
or they morph into something more,
or they morph into something
hard
that's
shell.
good. Yeah.
Yes, because a lot of people, those people, they're not necessarily assholes. They come in with a hard shell because they've learned to have a hard shell for different reasons.
Yeah.
They all of a sudden realize, like, wait a minute, I can be vulnerable here.
Yeah.
And it kind of opens their eyes. And we've had a lot of people that have made that shift. But it's just,
we love that.
We love that for them.
We love that for them.
It's just, it's a feeling that doesn't happen everywhere that you are. So I understand that people don't come in being like, I'm going to be vulnerable and try new things and probably look like an idiot. And everyone else around me knows what they're doing. Yes.
Just to even like get in. And so once they do, I would say CFL makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
Well, this is my first CrossFit experience. But doesn't mean
not your first athlete experience, but your first CrossFit.
But and that's I agree with 100% everything they've said as far as my experience there. I joined initially for different reasons.
You joined because Matt literally reached out. Do you remember this?
Oh, it was way back.
And he was like, "Hey, like, do you want to just like come into the gym? Like, I'll give you like a free trial." Like, this was way back, and you were like, you showed up like fucking ready.
I showed up first class was mobility. I'll see you Sunday, suckers. Let's see how they stretch, and we did it. No, but I mean, it was first and foremost, I had talked for 5 years to myself, I'm gonna get back in the gym. Yeah. And I did the 24, you do the Planet Fitness. Yeah. And it's just not inspiring. I'm being an athlete, I need a coach, bruh. Like, when I walked in, when I worked out for all of my life, I walked into a gym that had like a flight plan. This is what we're doing today. Yeah. You had and like, I'd like to say like, I know my body and shit, but like, I'm no guru, bro. Like when I go to 24 without my game plan, I'm like, all right, looks like we're doing biceps.
Yeah, whatever's open.
There's
right?
already a million stuff going on, and this is something too that sometimes I think we forget is like you have a million stuff going on in your life at all times, like not just you, and I mean just like everybody in general. There's so many things. If I put the barrier to entry for me to working out is like now I have to figure out what I'm gonna do, and then I have to get there, and then I have to figure out like what's available. No, fuck that. That's like it's too much. It's a huge barrier to entry when I can literally just walk in. I can be in the worst mood. It does not matter. All I have to walk in and is just like show up. And by the time that I leave, I'm in a better mood, and I didn't have to think about anything. I was
100%.
Everything was given to me and told what to do. It's fantastic.
And that's exactly
it's like an all-inclusive resort.
That's exactly why I joined. And actually, it was my first CrossFit gym and probably my only. Right? You find one. Why not? So, but I definitely heard the ugly, and it's a lot of the. I'd be curious. I'm not gonna be looking for it, but like I've never had the bad CrossFit experience because I've only had one, and this place is great. So it's true what they're saying.
It happens. I mean, from time to time you get it because like what Grace was explaining before was a culture, and I think a lot of companies like to establish their own culture. And the thing is that sometimes these cultures are just values written on a wall and never actually obtained to. And then other times you work really hard to establish and then create and then hold the culture that we have in the gym. And I mean, this leads to a lot of tough conversations. This leads to a lot of finding the right people for you. Like Savannah had mentioned earlier, like you either adapt to our culture, and like the term that we like to use when I'm addressing with our coaches is we either coach them up or we coach them out. Meaning when we start laying down the ground rules and have you act a certain way and we do certain things, like one thing, for instance, is when we have a workout and people will finish at varying times, nobody cleans up until the time cap has beeped, and then everybody cleans up together at the end. And so that's going to have to lead to me as a coach to hold that standard. So if I see somebody who's new, who's cleaning up, and you go, I don't really want to make this person feel awkward, or how are they going to adjust to it? You have to go over and be like, hey, Jeremy, I really appreciate you cleaning up right now. You crushed that workout, but just give us 1 second. We're going to clean up together as a group. And then there might be some pushback. Well, I got to go. I got to be out of here at whatever time. And really in my head, I'm thinking, you dipshit, you did guaranteed an hour to me, okay? We still got 10 minutes on the clock, right? But obviously I'm not going to say that. I'm saying, hey, dude, no problem. Go ahead and take off and we'll take care of your equipment. And now all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, okay.
You feel weird. Somebody cleaned up after you.
I guess I could hang out for an extra minute. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. And so by having those conversations and then having a game plan and a system behind how we keep the culture of how it is one thing that we work on a lot.
So for those wondering, what the hell? Who the hell are these CrossFit guys, and what do they have to do with hospitality? everything they've just talked about is hospitality and service. So,
and it's a huge part into what I don't think it's a secret that I also do that I help out at the gym, and that Matt and Grace have really tucked me under their wing. I'll tell you what. And that's like a huge part of it. Actually, a book that Matt is always reading a lot of really cool business books, and one of the ones recently was I forget the name.
Unreasonable hospitality.
But it is something that, like, when we make discussions about, like, okay, we're going to do an orientation for people who come into the gym. Like, what does that look like? What information do we want to give them? So everything really is planned out. Everything is very cultivated about the gym. And I think that's a big difference, is that there's a lot of business owners who are very reactive, and there's a lot of business owners, or well, not a lot, but there's Matt and Grace who are not. They're very proactive, and everything is very thoughtful. And so I think it's a really good transition to talk about the nutrition challenge, because that's something that is very, very thoughtful.
Great segue.
Very cultivated.
Yeah.
So,
it
Grace,
is. Oh, it is.
And they've heard Savannah talk two seasons worth of
2 seasons worth. Yeah, this
podcast.
is my fourth. This is my fourth time going through.
Last year you started. We had Brandon Wood on the podcast for your
and he brought all the cheeses.
It
was so good.
It cold cheese?
It was cold cheese.
It was cold cheese.
And I explained to them the whole cold cheese thing. It was cold cheese.
It was like
I didn't eat the
It
crackers.
makes absolutely no
I'm
sense.
just sitting here like, she's over there. I'm sorry, but
it's great because I think sometimes. So this is the nutrition challenge. People, I think, get really freaked out because they hear 8 weeks and they're like, you're on a diet. And first of all, everybody uses the word diet completely incorrect. Same with variety and varietal, but we won't go there. People get super freaked out. And at the end of the day, it is actually one of the easiest hard things I've ever done. And it has only improved my life, like inside and out, like my physical health, my mental health. Everything about it I love, and I think it has a lot to do with some of the things that we preach here. Like, we're always talking about, like, good foods, local foods. We don't want shit that's coming from off of a Cisco truck that's, like, being just, like, has no quality, has no care.
The only thing I want from Cisco is the thong song. Sorry, you didn't ask for that.
Perfect.
I actually agree with that, and I think that's a really good point.
But we needed it.
It's too good.
But it's something, for me, being a part of this for several years now, it's something that, like, I've always see where a lot of our stuff cross over, and to me, it's where my two worlds kind of collide and meet. So it was really exciting. I've been wanting them to talk about this for a long time. Yeah. We're happy to have Grace. I want you to talk a little bit about what the nutrition challenge is and, like, what the goal of it is.
All right. So every year in January-ish, I start a 8-week program at the gym. It's a diet and fitness related challenge. It's not one of those, like, crazy New Year's resolutions, but let's be real. Everyone, by the time the holidays finish, everyone's ready to get their shit back in order. So it's a convenient time for that. It's also cold. You have nothing else to do, so you might as well. But no, so the program itself is based on, again, that whole, like, community sense, because there's a lot of things you'll do with a group of people or being on a team that you won't do by yourself. And so it relies on social support and, a little bit of...
I would say social accountability. I mean, you said support, but let's be real. Like, you don't want to screw up and be the only one on your team that's screwed up.
All right,
But give the bullet points to it. So it's 8 weeks. It starts to begin in January.
Yeah, and the whole point of it is just better health overall. With that, there's too many things. I mean, you can go online. You can sign up for any single thing online that tells you better health. You'll follow a Whole30. You'll follow a diet. You'll follow any plan. I think following a plan for 8 weeks that has, like, absolute bleed into the rest of your life. So a little bit of education on what you're doing, how you're learning how to fuel your body, realizing how much better you feel with better nutrition. That's the main focus of it, because I think those are the kind of the sticking points that will bring you to better health for the rest of your life. We're looking for results in 8 weeks because everyone wants to see results, but we're looking for results that have, like, points that stick with you that you can carry on for your life. Because I think delivering people better health within their nutrition is, like, the missing point to everyone's problems in life. Like, it will solve all of your issues. I'm going to tell you right now. Yeah. Better nutrition will solve every single one of every issue you've ever had. Yeah. In some kind of a way, it will lead to a better result in any problem you've had. Yeah. So the nutrition program itself, you sign up, you're randomly assigned to a team of individuals. that you might know a little bit. You might have never met them before. We even have some people that aren't even, never met at all. That little degree of separation seems to help, because if you're with someone you know very well, you will do very bad things to them in terms of accountability. Sorry. And if you've never, ever, ever met this person before and you're completely separated from them, you also don't really feel that connection. So in the 8-week program, the diet I said, it focuses basically on no alcohol, just the biggest thing for everybody, especially coming fresh out the holidays.
I'm a good girl.
That's the hardest part for everybody.
That's the hardest part. And then no crazy amounts of like extra fat. So like, we're trying not to eat fried foods. But other than that, the biggest focus is no added sugars.
Yes.
Because
no added sugar.
Yeah.
They're literally Satan, and I don't mean in the good way.
Added sugars.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between an added sugar and a sugar?
Okay. Well,
Bumper sticker, babe. Bumper sticker. I think it is important that we give you a quick background, because you have your master's in nutritional. Yeah, Grace has her master's in nutritional science. And so the reason why I made the joke there and I said bumper sticker is because Grace likes to give you the full scope of the information. And I always
Grace
joke
likes the
and I'm
science.
like, she is.
like
And
science.
so we could go down the rabbit hole really far with that. But I always tell her, like, give us it on a bumper sticker.
yeah.
Like,
Sugars exist in the world. There's sugars in everything, and marketing teams will do their best to remind you that you don't know about any of them. So they'll try to say natural sugars, this, that, and the other thing. The whole food industry is made to confuse you and make you question everything. So just know that you're not the only one if that confuses you. Sugars exist in a lot of foods. Sugars exist in fruit. Sugars exist in a lot of things. We're never worried about foods that come from the earth. No one ever had bad health or got fat off of eating too many blueberries. It didn't happen.
maybe a little diarrhea.
Maybe diarrhea, but like,
Also probably good for you.
Added sugars are anything that has been taken out of a food substance or have been created like in a lab or anything like that are added into your food for flavor or sweetness.
Mm-hmm.
So even if I took organic coconut sugar out of a coconut, but I put it into my coffee, that is still an added sugar. Anytime you're adding sugar or sweetness into your food for taste or comfort or happiness, that's an added sugar.
Yeah.
Well, good thing Story Coffee's black coffee, so tastes so good.
No, Story Coffee is easy. I've iced oat milk latte every single day of the year.
Oat milk latte. Oh, but that's an added. Okay, hold
Nope.
up.
There's no sugar in that.
All right,
It's a latte.
Tell me why that works.
There's no added sugar in it. I'm not adding honey. I'm not adding sugar. It's just the latte. It's just the milk.
So it's just espresso and oat milk.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all that's in the latte.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think so it was
He'll buy it.
so interesting enough is that was a huge thing that Grace and I figured out, because after I did the first nutrition challenge, I really liked it. I saw how much it connected to almost everything. And I started doing one-on-ones with Grace. We started doing nutrition coaching, and I learned a lot from there. And she teaches a lot of what she taught me then in the nutrition challenge. So every week they do a very fun live YouTube.
So fun.
It's super entertaining. It's not fun for them, but like the rest of us, it's absolutely hilarious
We
and
question
fun.
our relationship after every live for like 10 minutes. We're just like, the camera. We should really keep the camera rolling for 10 minutes after we don't think
do
it's
it.
rolling. But
Don't do
yeah,
it.
yeah. Carry on.
And during those, Grace is explaining a lot of the science for us, and she's answering questions live, and she discusses behaviors, she discusses proteins, she discusses times to eat, different types of, keto, intermittent fasting. She's gone through the gambit of information that she distills down, because this is what she has put her entire education through, and she's very passionate about it. But so one of the things that we found out is I was drinking a iced oat milk or a iced chai like every single day. And we were looking, I was just like, I don't understand, like, what's going on? And she was just like, have you ever looked into like what they're using for chai? Because to me, I was like, chai tea, it's just tea. And then she was just like, you should double check that it's not a concentrate. We looked at it. It's like 13 grams of sugar in the concentrate. That's just one serving.
It's sneaky.
Which is an ounce. And you're like, holy shit, that's actually a lot of added sugar that I'm just getting in a drink, when really I'd be happy with just another drink. I'd rather get the added sugar somewhere else. And one thing that Grace always says is like, of course, we're not saying don't ever eat cake ever again for the rest of your life. Like, when there's a birthday party, eat the fucking cake. Like, go ahead and enjoy yourself. But it's more so you're detaching yourself away for 8 weeks with what you would naturally do without thinking about it, and adding intentionality to it. And you're saying, wait a second. For me specifically, I eat pizza a lot, and it's weird that I eat it a lot at the same time, almost weekly. And that also happens to be right when I'm feeling really stressed. So do I actually want that pizza? Or am I actually looking for comfort because I'm stressed out, which actually doesn't help because that food doesn't help lower my cortisol levels, which is the problem. So it's things like that I personally really like from the nutrition challenge. I think everybody else does as well. But we talk about this all the time. There's bullshit in just the food industry overall. Grace was talking about how
it's
food
crazy.
labels are super confusing and we use certain words like natural. And we know that there's a lot of people who say, oh no, this is clean wine. And you're like, what does that mean? And you're like, first of all, it doesn't
It's
mean
a marketing
anything.
scheme.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's
it's
all.
organic.
And we talk about this all the time. You're like, but you're still drinking alcohol. Like, if you're trying to be healthy, like, don't try and fool yourself into thinking like this is the better alcohol. Like, no, it's alcohol. No matter what, there isn't this better or worse thing. It's just if you're gonna drink the alcohol, just drink the alcohol. Don't try and think you're doing this healthy thing because you're drinking this clean wine, which actually is funny enough because it's technically not clean and it's kind of flawed because it has a lot of.
Oh, it's a marketing
But whatever.
thing.
Oh man, you guys are gonna.
But yeah, no, just to the rest of the challenge itself, Savannah was hitting on like obviously all of the main points of it. But the idea of it is just to get yourself away from the food industry is just screwing you over right and left. Like you have no idea. So it's bringing awareness to the foods that you eat. It's cutting out all the extra stuff. So it's nothing crazy in terms of like a fad diet. It's just bringing you back down to the bare bones of like what your body really needs as fuel. If you just do, and it always seems, I always have people every year. And in the beginning of it, at the beginning of the challenge, like I think it's like the 6th year or something of it, there was a few people who would say like, this is all. They see the rules and they're like, this is all I have to do. I do this all the time.
Because it isn't that bad.
The general rules,
it's not hard.
you got to drink enough water every day. I think I have it set right now at 80 ounces.
Starts at 70.
You have to eat,
friendly.
I'm telling you, 2 or 3 servings of vegetables. You guys should be eating like 7 or 8. You should be fine.
Size
But
of your
2 or
fist,
3
right?
every day, you have to have 20 minutes of, I call it intentional movement, intentional exercise. So you can go to CrossFit. You can go on CrossFit Livermore. You can www.crossfitlivermore.com. Come on in. You can go on a 20-minute walk. You can do 20 minutes of stretching, meditation. The idea is to take 20 minutes out of your day to be like, damn, I go through a whole day doing things for everyone else in my life, but I don't have 20 minutes for myself. And in all of this, you have to keep a food journal and you have to check in with your team throughout the week of different ways.
Texting me right now.
There you go. Yeah, your
The team's
phone.
being texted.
But just from that, you realize the consistency of just like good, solid effort and your habits and your routines that are off from that. So you're like, damn, dude, I didn't drink any water for the last 3 days. Like, and you're crushing it at night. Or you're like, for sure I eat vegetables all day long. And you're like, it's a Monday and I haven't had a single.
And then you write it down. You're like, wait,
This
I
is
actually
pathetic.
don't.
Yeah.
Like, I've been lying. Or not that you're lying to yourself. You
No,
just
it's
don't
just-
realize your own behaviors until somebody makes you say, like, no, like, let's actually look at them.
So it brings you back down to like the really just fueling your body and learning what it needs and how much you need and don't need. And in that you get the benefits of just like, all of the health benefits of nutrition, but you start to realize like, oh my God, like I have way more energy. I sleep better.
Yeah.
I'm mentally more clear. My entire day is better. And then people start challenging themselves to be like, I didn't even have coffee yet, which I don't take away coffee. God forbid. That would be like
that would be.
There's
But
not
people
a whole
have
lot
the
of things that are
energy
taken
to
away
have-
from you, honestly.
No, there's not. And you really don't have to like take away that many things. You just need to bring awareness to kind of the stuff that you have. And yeah.
That's why I was saying too. I think calling it the nutrition challenge, because although it is a challenge, it actually doesn't do it justice by calling it that name. We should be calling it a nutrition reset. And I was joking that we should have named it the Great Reset after the World Economic Forum kind of deal, if you guys are following that around. But I just thought that was a good play on the times of the Great Nutrition Reset. And so just to capture everything that you were kind of said, and Savannah laid it out perfectly, is we just give you the tools and the resource to make really healthy, informed decisions.
For the rest of the year, for the rest of your life.
Like period, full stop. So that's the deal. It's like after you finish this 8-week challenge, it's not about who could lose the most weight or all this, because all of that is there's no longevity behind that. Anybody could starve themselves and then have a worse like bounce back from that.
Yeah.
But what Grace
But
provides,
it gives you that solid 8-week block to get yourself going on that. But carry on.
well, solid 8 we bought to get you started on what?
The excitement about, it's not the making the body fat changes and all of that, but it gives you like a ramp up of 8 weeks of like, you can't just do it tomorrow. Like you have to get it done because your time is ticking away. So that's a benefit of, but learning long-term habits.
And it makes it easier to continue it throughout the rest of the year, and then one thing that you always say that I always really like is like, okay, cut you off on that one. You let's say you eat the cake. You're like, okay, don't try and hide it. Don't try and sneak like a bite. Like just like cut yourself a slice of cake, go eat the cake. And then literally the next meal, you just start again. Like it doesn't have to be this big thing of like once you fall off, because the point is that this is supposed to easily adapt into your life, which it does. Mm-hmm. And it just, there's so many little changes that you can make that add up to such a huge difference, like by the end of the year.
How does the point system work then? If I eat cake, what's the...
Dead.
You're going to be publicly shamed.
It's probably a public shame.
So it's...
I log into the cameras that I've installed in your kitchen, especially during those early morning hours, and we just blast it. So the whole thing works off of the idea you have 100 points every week. You get to keep you get to keep all your 100 points if you do your daily exercise, your daily water, all of that, like I had said. Anytime that you choose to have a food that's been outlined on the avoids list. So if you did have alcohol, if you did have cake, whatever you want, it's minus. The points kind of grow as we get farther and deeper into the challenge, but you get a -2 each time that you do decide to have it. There's added bonuses for staying in the 100-point club the whole time, and there's different ways that incentivize you to not have that.
This will be my first year.
And then
What is it? Where it's February? How far into this is? How far into?
We're last week.
This is the last week. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
And then if you do stay into that club, your name is framed up on a post. It's in CFL history for the rest of the year. I mean, there's different incentives, but I think one of the biggest incentives is, and it's all off the honor system, and but you've signed up because you want better health for yourself, and in your point system. So if you were to score, every person in their team has been assigned we call it swim buddy. Accountability buddy, I believe I heard it, and a person on their team that has to pay for their sins. So if you were to get...
You don't want me to be the person who pays for your sins.
I think it's 80 points. You have to get at least 80 points. If
Which
you were to get below...
so easy.
Yes. If you were to get below 80 points, or God forbid, not turn in your food log, which you turn in weekly, you don't have to do anything about it. You just don't get the points. But your swim buddy, your accountability buddy
they
has
get the penalty?
a physical punishment that they must endure, and they're not fun.
So it guarantees that you're not going to just be like, screw it. And you and I couldn't be partners together. So if the 4 of us were doing this together, what would happen is that you're responsible for Grace, I'm responsible for you, and Matt's responsible for me. So if you fuck up and you get below your 80 points, then I have to do the physical punishment, because it can't be of like, oh, Jeremy, like, don't you, like, we want to go and get like beers, like, let's just, and then we're both doing it. Like, it doesn't work like that. We can't just go suffer together. And then half the time it's no music, and you have to do it by yourself. Like, it's very sad. No one can help you. Nobody can help you.
Sad experience.
It happened to me one year.
In misery.
Yep. No one can do it with you. You're just, I don't let you have headphones. You just got to suffer, and you got to just be like, that's what I've done.
But like, it's a great punishment to make sure, like, I never want to put anybody in that situation. So I'll never, I won't fuck up.
Like, if it were me, like, I could use the workout every once in a while, but like, damn.
You're punishing somebody else
Doug.
for your sins.
Sorry, Mom. Yeah, you're just watching people. Yeah.
So I think we should touch a point on that real quick, because the whole entire way that we designed it, and I like to always take credit for this portion of it, is because I actually designed it in the same framework that is done through the Navy SEAL training buds. And so what you do is...
you get to take credit for this. It was your idea.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
5% of this was math.
There's two main things here, right? The first one, and this was actually a study that was formulated that showed the effectiveness of Rosa Parks sitting in the front row of the bus, because what ended up happening is her community and her church got behind it. She didn't have a bunch of individual friends that knew her really well, but what she had is a bunch of acquaintances within the same community that felt obligated then to go and help. Because if you have just the right amount of degree of separation, you could do two things. You could usher an amazing community effect to uplift or to support, or you could use that same exact framework for accountability. Here's the reason why. Jeremy and I are best buddies. I'm gonna look at him and be like, come on, bro, you know I'm gonna go out and get that beer tonight. Like, we'll just make an agreement. You do the challenge. And he goes, all right, you know what, Matt, I didn't want to do this. I wanted to hold to it, but you're my buddy, so now I can't say no. But if we just put up that acquaintance, a couple degrees of separation, he doesn't have the ability to open that conversation because he doesn't know where I sit with everything. So he's not going to come to me and be like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and drink. We'll do this punch. It doesn't work that way because we're all acquaintances, but we all belong to the same community. The second thing that we did is we established a team captain. So then you have a leader of the team, somebody who's going to speak up for the team and take responsibility. Then what we did is we broke everybody down. And the reason why we called it Swim Buddies was because that's exactly the way that they do it in the SEALs. Accountability buddy fits much better for this nutrition challenge than Swim Buddy. Accountability
It's a little bit more friendlier.
And so what ends up happening there is now I not only have the acquaintance, so I got that little degree of separation, but I'm still part of the community, so I have that accountability. But now my actions directly affect that other individual. So if I start to say, hey, well, I'm going to go on my bachelor party and do the drinking, you're like, come on, dude, now I got to go. Now Jeremy's got to go out there and push the sled around and do it with no music. So you start to feel bad. And what that does is it just has multiple layers of accountability in. And then the third one, which is my most favorite, is that all the posters of every action that you do, how you turn in your food logs, if you do all the extra challenge, are posted publicly in the gym. So every team and every person, whether you're even doing the challenge or not, could go up and I could find Savannah's name and I could run my finger across the board and look at what she's done.
You're gonna find a shit ton of gold stars.
And so that obviously makes it the fear of public shaming there helps with the accountability, and then the framework of what the team that we established.
Not that we're a gym that shames people, but I always look at it as more of like, that's like a pride thing for me of like, you can go and find my name and you're gonna find all my like little gold stars because like I'm putting my effort. And there's this interesting thing that happens in the nutrition challenge because we all signed up because we wanted to change. So everybody shows up with like this attitude of like, no, like I'm here to do my best. And it just kind of, and you're like, well, I also was, but you seem a little bit more intense about it. So like now I'm all of a sudden a little bit more intense about it. And you are very vulnerable during the entire thing. Like the accountability, it's just interesting. You make a lot of new friends through it. And like for me, both the Bradley Lawrence Erickson third, like everybody that I've ever been on a team with, like I've built a really nice like relationship with them. So it makes the gym even more fun when I go in throughout the year and then I like see them and you have like this really cool friendship. But it's also one thing that we're not touching on that we should definitely touch on is that it's like actually so much fucking fun. If you don't know this, it's that Grace really loves games. Like really, really loves team games.
More than anything.
And so something that we do is that on Sundays, every Sunday, we do a team workout that's literally just for us. Like nobody else in the gym. It's just all the teams come together. It's not mandatory, but pretty much every single person will show up if you can be there. And you get together in your team before each like WOD that we do. And Grace makes us compete in some games. And it is absolutely hysterical.
You've never seen adults go as hard as they do in these.
It's like summer camp, kind of.
I saw that balloon madness. Last week.
Called it Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Oh man!
You had to protect your own balloon tied to your foot while trying to stomp out others.
That's
I saw a grown man do the splits twice.
And he can do them before that. So.
First of all, when we say splits, we're being very friendly, but it was impressive for Brad.
I don't know. It was a lot, but
it's a good time. And like,
no, so it is fun. And that's like what it all centers back around because that's what keeps us doing anything that we're doing. Right. Like, and there's just not enough in the world that like is just a fun, good, supportive environment. So I think it's also like brings back like all the things that we think are important at CFL. Right. So you come into the doors at CFL, there's a warm, welcoming environment.
Unless you're in the 5:30 class, it's really cold.
Okay, take the word warm as you will. But
you don't even go at that time.
My alarm goes off at 5:30, bro. So I could be there at 6:30.
But I think the nutrition challenge, like I don't think I've created it, so it takes a step above that. So even if you come to the gym all the time, you're kind of like, interactive, whatever. I block out Sundays so no one else in the gym can be there other than people the teams all have their own colors and they all, whatever.
We get matching shirts.
And then throughout
names.
Yeah.
I just see that scene in Dodgeball.
Yeah.
No,
that's 100%.
It's 100% what happens.
Yeah.
But there's also like little extra weekly challenges that I sprinkle in there. So you have a reason to maybe meet your team maybe you'd go in after work and you go at 6 p.m. You never go then and you don't have any reason to go then, but you have a person who's going to meet you then. And so it pulls you into that. All of a sudden you're meeting other people, or someone says, hey, let's get the whole team to meet up and work out together at the, CrossFit class on Wednesday. What time can we all go? Suddenly you're going to a 5:30 a.m., something you would never experience before, but you have a person that's waiting for you in the inside of the door. So it brings you in and you're kind of like, you get this own subculture within the gym that brings you just like an extra layer of support. So not only during the challenge is it super fun because all of a sudden you have this like common thing that you're experiencing with everyone, with the people in the gym, but it brings you this whole community that still exists once the 8 weeks is done. So you still get to meet all these other people, but you kind of have this like common thing you're going through. And then, I do make Sundays incredibly fun. So it brings everyone together and it's a little silly.
For me too, like a lot of the people, like even like past like the challenge, like throughout the year, we'll see each other at the gym and like we'll sit down, we'll talk a little bit and we'll stretch and like you genuinely get to know these people. Sometimes it's great because they can help open up like business relationships with you. Sometimes like, and even when it's not, financially like, I don't want what's the word I'm looking for? Even when it's not like an opportunity for you, it's just kind of nice to like know another person and to just kind of know what they're going through, what their life is like, to like see their kids and stuff. I mean, for me, it's really fun. Like I've made so many friends like just strictly through this portion of the gym, and it really carries out like through the
you see
rest
someone
of the
a year or two later, even if you don't, you don't hit their schedule all the time, but you see someone a year or two later at like, our holiday party or something, and you're like, hey, we were on the blue team together. And like you have this like connection for forever that, But
one of the teams I was on, we won first place, and I still have the gold medal on. I still have the plastic gold medal on my gym bag with it.
Let's go.
And like every once in a while, we'll just kind of be like, "Hey, remember the Eliminators?" And we're like, "Yeah." It's just a good time.
Is our nutrition challenges? Wow, words. Are they common in CrossFit gyms, or is this like a Grace Delicious exclusive?
This is a great.
I love that. I think they're like the idea. We were just at
This is 100% exclusive. She's going to beat around the bush. This is our program. This is something that we've cultivated over the last 6 years to get the secret recipe. That is what it is. Grace heads it. She runs organization and games and creativity like nobody else fucking will inside this space.
Nobody would ever put this much effort towards something.
So a lot of times there are nutrition challenges or there's certain things like that at CrossFit gyms, but this is our own program. And that's why I was always pushing, like calling it like the Great Reset, because as soon as she develops a program, I try to systematize, brand it, and then figure out how we could sell it outside of it. Yeah. There actually is one gym who's using kind of the framework, I would say, of what we got going on in Florida right now. And then Grace does have an opportunity with Stanford Hospital in Palo Alto. Well, we'll be taking this. And I'm really curious about that, because if anybody's watching this that is, wanting to figure out a different way to have more and a better, healthier culture inside your business, this is the way to do it, especially if you have a big business or if you have a medium-sized business, because then you start cross-pollinate people from other departments that don't really talk. Because if they all signed up, we're just going to throw your name in the hat and we're going to develop, however many teams break out into even numbers. And then you'll find that you're going to start meeting people in other departments or maybe other shifts if you work, if your thing's a hospital and it's going 24 hours. And it really develops a community within inside of your business. And so, this is unique to CFL. This is unique to Grace and to the program that she's cultivated over the last 6 years. Yeah.
Other gyms definitely try to run have done some kind of nutrition programs. They're not nearly as good as,
and
not nearly the
same. Here's something too, is that Grace has done, like, Grace has written papers.
I wrote my thesis on diet and exercise, specifically the challenge. And I took the past years of data and tried to, I did look at what were the factors that gave people the best results. And of what I used in terms of results was, we do also I test their body weight, their body inches. We do before and after pictures. And then in the recent
body fat
years,
percentage, skeletal muscle mass.
yeah, in the recent years, we have like a much cooler machine now that we can do body composition analysis. So now we have body fat, we have the amount of muscle mass you have on you. We have all of these, your daily caloric burn, like all these kinds of things that we can print out.
And a baseline workout as well.
And so with that, we also do a baseline. We do a workout that's on the first day and the last day. So all of these measures show you kind of the general like ways that you can improve your health with better nutrition. So I thought the coolest one shows your percent that you were able to increase your fitness. Because increased fitness,
everybody does.
And increased fitness has, I mean, that checks every single health marker. So maybe you aren't really looking after changing your body weight. Maybe your body fat percentage is already kind of where it is, but there's not a single person in this world that doesn't increase their health by increasing their fitness. So their cardiorespiratory health, their muscle strength, their endurance, the blah, 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 all of the things. It kind of like if you just increased your percent fitness, that is a marker of umbrella of everything else that you've increased. So I, in my thesis, compared the components of the challenge and just like diet and exercise interventions overall. But the components that we had in our 8-week program that led to the most increase in your fitness. And I separated people by beginning, intermediate, and advanced athletes and found out that every single person that had the best percent increase in their fitness, one, it was social support. So the more that they were interactive, the more they came into the gym, the more they interacted with their team. And then for beginner athletes and some of the individuals, it was more of their food journaling, so their food log. So I think probably just like understanding their nutrition better. That didn't happen for the advanced athletes. But the social support was actually still the biggest thing, even more so for the advanced athletes than the beginners. So just like one of those things that's cool to see that every single person that can interact more with the people. And that's kind of all of the like rules that I have established. So the more you're interacting on your team chat, the more you do your weekly challenges, the more you show up on Sundays to support each other.
The
that just leads to
are geared towards more social interaction. And ironically, too. I don't know if ironically is the right word. Having a close-knit community is the strongest correlate to long life. So people that have a close group knit of friends tend to live longer in their life than those that are less social.
And that's because of how we're wired on a neurobiological basis.
Reptilian
that's just like
brain
humans.
status.
That's just humans and also orca whales. That's why they shouldn't be in captivity.
Damn.
Sorry.
I like how you plugged
forgot
that
about
there.
that. I forgot about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
We're
Grace
moving
has a
on. We're
weird-
moving on. Don't say it.
But it was just funny how you got that plug in there.
Listen, I have to take marine bio this semester.
Oh, yikes, yikes.
Yeah,
Really?
don't share any images.
You have to take an
Grace.
upper division science.
Oh.
So I'm taking. Actually,
you're taking
it's
marine
not
biology?
I've taken marine biology before when I lived in SLO. Great time.
I bet.
I
Give me
love
away.
the oceans. I love water. I'm taking ocean sciences.
Oh, that's fun.
semester.
All
Yeah,
right.
upper division science.
And
We like
ironically,
science. We like science.
We like science
the
right here.
definition of CrossFit is work capacity increased across broad time and modal domains.
Woo.
Because it knows that, there's two definitions. Number one, the definition is CrossFit is high intensity functional movement. No, I screwed that up. It's constantly varied functional movement performed at high intensity. There it is. So constantly varied functional movement performed at high intensity. And what that does is it increases your work capacity across broad time and modal domains, which sounds like a big word salad because it is, but essentially it just means we take all those exercises that we talked about before, we mix them up as creatively as possible. We turn on a clock so that way we have some sort of parameter, some intensity or something to compete against. And what the result of that is it increases our work capacity, our ability to do work in different time domains, long, short, and modalities, meaning body weight, external weight, or just carrying some groceries in from the car.
Yeah. And
It's
if you want
such a
if you wanna,
flex when I carry all
join,
of them.
join the come for a free session. Not that I'm offering that for them.
No, go
or
ahead.
just pay for one.
Absolutely.
No,
But
go
like,
on in.
No,
you'll-
but for real.
You'll be able to feel exactly what that means in places you haven't been sore before after your first couple of.
Here's something funny that I
after your
always
first
do
couple of
too is
workouts.
like anytime I do anything that like most people like cannot do, I specifically say CrossFit. So like for example, for my
Is that like the
job,
new parkour?
I always have a
Parkour.
bunch of open wine bottles with me, at least 12 at any time, because I see customers I have to pour them wine. That's pretty heavy. It's in the car. Damn it. Sometimes it's even 24. And so a lot of times Nakoa's off to work before me. And that means I have to carry all my shit to my car. And so I literally will throw the backpack over my shoulder and then I take both bags and I literally clean them. And then I walk down my stairs and I walk to my car like this because I have gravel. I don't have I can't just roll it. And I carry them all the way to like this. And I bring it to my car, and I'm literally every time I'm like, that's why I do CrossFit. And like, there's times when I went on a bachelorette trip, like everybody, like the escalator was like too busy, and I'm like, fuck that. I work out, like I'm a strong girl, and I picked up my fucking bag and I put it over my head and I took the fucking stairs. And then like, everybody looked at me. They're like, she's cool. Probably nobody, but like I felt cool, and that was the important thing.
Well, that's damn. Well,
But it's everyday stuff.
Yeah.
Like I get to I have young nephews, and if they wanna fucking taste it, they're gonna get it. Because like I'm fit enough to.
You guys are doing a great job of speaking to your business. You guys haven't missed any. Yeah, fucking A. CrossFit Livermore, and we hardly even talk about workouts. We're talking about vibe and energy and motives. And
I think if you focus on that, the workout, the fitness comes. We've studied CrossFit on its own has a scientific reason behind it, but we put a lot of effort into the backside of the workouts that happen every day, making sure you're hitting the big movements enough, the rep scheme, the load, the intensity, the time that you're doing it, the mixture of all of that we take care of that on the back end. So that's not even something you have to worry about or think about because we're already doing that. That's already planned in. You just have to show up and the rest of it happens for you.
And we have so many people, so many different walks of life that come to the gym too. And I think that's something very important to point out about our gym is that we have people of all ages. I believe our eldest member, Pete, is how old?
83?
Get after it, Pete.
And Pete's deadlifting.
Crushing it.
Like we have, I would say there's a good portion of the gym that is actually within their 40 to 60 range. Like a huge portion actually is probably that. We have a lot of moms. Like we have people that are across.
We have a teen program.
We have a team program. Shout out to ACEs. We have a lot of firemen that come to the gym, a lot of first responders. So there's if you ever feel like, oh, well, I'm not the type of person, you're like, there's no such thing because we have all type of people that come to the gym.
Yeah, we used to have the tagline I think it was your mom, actually, Grace, that said this, but we just were saying CrossFit Livermore, come as you are. And that literally means it doesn't matter who you are or what you're into or your background in fitness or just where you are at your point in life right now. None of that matters because once you walk through the door, you're going to be welcomed. Everything is going to feel like you've already known all of us for 100 years and you're going to come in and just have a really fun time getting healthy and getting fit.
Yeah. Well, so we got we've talked much about community and all that jazz. I guess, down here on the bottom, why Livermore is the headquarters?
Flip over the notes. So this is actually an interesting story. It was going to be Tracy was going to be the headquarters. I originally belonged to a gym here in Livermore, and I had two business partners. It was a husband and wife, and they belonged to the other CrossFit gym in Livermore. And the three of us were going to open a gym in Tracy, California. We got super close. We found our building. We had everything ready to rock and to go. It was going to be called CrossFit Altamont, actually.
CrossFit Altamont.
Yeah, and at the time, I owned the licensing right to that name. So CrossFit Altamont, it was right over the Altamont on Grant Line Road, actually. And when my husband and wife, business partner at the time, went over to their gym to tell them...
When my husband
and wife,
I'm with you.
When they went over to the gym that they belonged to and said, hey, look, we're going to be leaving. We have plans to open a gym in Tracy. The owner of that gym at the time, Mike Lampley, said, hey, what if you guys bought this? He had other businesses going on, and his intention was actually never to build that CrossFit gym as a main functioning business for him. It was totally his wife kicked him out and was like, quit putting all your friends in the garage and slamming all these bars. Go find somewhere else. And he was like, okay. So he rented a little spot. People started to show up. He was like, sure, come on in. And next thing you know, the gym grew. And once he found us who were going to go all in on this, he said, hey, rather than starting from scratch, what do you guys think about purchasing this? And it was called CrossFit MM at the time for him, Mike, and then another Mike he had started it with. So then Doug and Catherine and I, my husband and wife business partners at the time,
I only want to hear it in that order from now on.
Yeah, we bought that business from them in November of 2013. And then that is how we came about in Livermore. And then at the time I switched from Altamont CrossFit, I called CrossFit and I was like, hey, could we get CrossFit Livermore? Is that still a possibility? And they're like, oddly enough, it's still available. And so that's how we became CrossFit Livermore. And then 2016, I purchased the shares, like the partnership from Doug and Catherine. And then since 2016, I've owned it. Since November 2016, I've owned it solely.
And just a couple of things that you didn't mention. One, I was actually there first at CrossFit. So I think even though he technically owned it and bought it himself, I believe this still makes me to this day the boss of the boss. So I just,
oh boy,
in case we were wondering how everyone at this table fits in.
There it is.
There it is.
Yeah. Also my wife. So now legally the boss of the boss.
That's
there's
according
that
to the
too.
state.
No, but yeah, purchased
I got one of those.
Purchased an existing gym, and
that's how we
went through the culture shift of, you know, kind of how things had functioned there and whatever. But like, no one does it better than this guy.
Yeah.
Just like seamlessly coming in, winning everyone's hearts over.
Oh boy.
Some of us, it took another second to win. I was like, everyone just loves him. We're just trusting this guy.
Grace is like, I don't fucking think so.
I will stand for the team. We're not. No, you guys like him way too much. He's doing way too good of things around here. Something's fishy. Actually, it was not. It was not fishy. He's just a good ass dude. But I ended up marrying him because of it. Actually, he's such a good dude. But I was,
But Matt's from here. Grace is from the area as well. Are you from Pleasanton or Livermore?
Pleasanton.
You're from Pleasanton.
P-Town.
P-Town.
But yeah, I moved here in like 96 or something like that.
Shit.
I mean, from like Fremont though.
From Fremont.
You
Still in
didn't.
the area.
Your parents moved here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like 6 and along for the ride. That's for sure. I was in like first or second grade, and then I went over to Jackson Elementary School. Shout out Stingrays. I went to East Avenue Middle School. Shout out Dolphins. We got a theme.
What?
And then we go.
Who are these mascots?
Yeah, and then we go completely left field, and we go to Livermore High for the Cowboys. So I don't know how that
man.
fit
You went
into
from
my
all these like marine
sea
mammals.
life. Yeah, Livermore High sharks.
Beavers over on fucking Jack London Square. Dude, we got the craziest mascots in Livermore.
It's wild. It's wild.
But when you originally purchased the gym, we were back over kind of like 84 East Jack London. We were back in like a warehouse back there over that side. And then moved in 2017 over to where we are now, which I always describe as behind Chipotle, because I just feel like that's a staple that everyone knows.
Everybody knows where Chipotle's at.
Yeah, except for the Livermore Chipotle.
Shadow puppet.
That's what I say.
That's because our people know where that's
damn it.
at.
I usually start
Actually,
off.
so yeah, back to the nutrition challenge. So no alcohol.
So
But we're in a brewery.
So here's an example. Okay, so with the nutrition challenge, let's say like the first 4 weeks you wanted 1 glass of wine. This is the problem, is that people don't drink 1 glass of wine. People drink way more than they probably need to on a daily basis. And like I'm talking about, and we hear this because it's one of the biggest complaints about the nutrition challenge, is that like every single night they're drinking an entire bottle of wine. They're like, oh, just a couple glasses. You're like, cool. So like how many? They're like 4. You're like, so that's an entire bottle. You know that, right? Like that's a whole ass fucking bottle, 7 days a week for the rest of the entire year, which is like quite a lot. So let's say you wanted 1 glass of wine first weeks. You're going to do that. You're going to get a -5 on that week. So, and like that, you could live with that. If that's what you want to live with, you could do that as long as you don't drop below 80. But then after those first 4 weeks, that now 1 serving of alcohol, whatever beverage you're choosing, the 1 serving of it is now going to go to 10 points. So now you're like, ooh, okay, cool. Now I'm dropping all the way down to like 90. And that doesn't leave me a whole lot of room for error.
Yep.
So like if I fuck up somewhere, so if work says, hey, we're going out to lunch, and they take me to a place that
Sucks.
I don't have great options, then you're like, oof, like how am I going to make this work? And I mean, by and large, you're always going to find like a option. I mean, I think like a great example is that people think like, oh, people think it's the whole 30 is what I find, which is like oddly enough. I don't know why people tend to think that when I talk about it with them. They're like, oh, so you can't do like dairy and you can't do like any gluten. You can't. I'm like,
any
no.
other fad diet doesn't have specifics of just like regular good food.
Yeah.
Any other fad
just
diet,
has to be real food.
I mean, even like intermittent fast, which, call that a diet, but or paleo, you're kind of doing these like crazy food groups and food categories.
Yeah.
Whole 30 is the closest thing to it, just because they're taking out a bunch of shit that you're eating.
Yeah.
So
and Whole 30 is meant so that you could figure out whether you have like some type of like food allergy typically. So like Whole 30, like your doctor will recommend that to you to figure out if you have a dairy allergy. Then after like the 30 days, they'll be like, okay, like start to implement a little bit in there so they can kind of determine it. It's very simple. You can't have bread. It just has to be whole grain. So like I eat sandwiches when I'm like, I don't know what else to do. I will get a sandwich Mr. Pickles and it's completely fine.
Yeah, you're just eating regular normal people food. You're just not eating you're not eating gas station food. There's not a lot of things at a gas station that you can eat. There's some.
You're not eating stuff. You're not going to eat something that's coming out of a package. I can tell you that for sure. Like today, Nicole and I were like, fuck, we don't have anything for breakfast. Like we're like kind of like scrambling around. So like we ran to the store and we're like, let's see if we can find a cereal with like no added sugars and a bunch of crap in it. We did find one.
What was it?
It actually wasn't that bad. I think it's one that one of the big CrossFit dudes is like doing. So we're like, okay, we'll grab that. But then it was also like an easy thing of you're like, wait, well, like I know we have Greek yogurt at home. So it's just like I could like toss in some like fruit in that and I can toss in some like nuts. And then like half the time you might be able to find granola that doesn't have like added sugar. It's a little bit hard. Or like oatmeal is a perfect example. But there's other things that you can do. It's just that a lot of times we're so lazy that we just don't do it. That's fine. Like we all have like days that it's going to be a little bit harder. The only thing is like if you just keep giving into that, it starts adding up and then you don't ever start getting to where you need to be. And that does affect like your mental health at the end of the day. Like what you're putting in, it controls this whole system.
Yeah. Well, mark my words, 2024. JTM's going to sign up for the nutrition challenge.
Really?
I like how quietly kind of stuck that in there.
I like it too because it forces me to be creative about the dinners that I make. And like half the time too, like I'll make something and I'm like, this just doesn't even feel like you're missing anything. Like it doesn't feel like you're like, oh, I really wish I had, like you're not missing anything. Like you can make something very tasty. Like one of the things that I always say is like you can go to Wingin and you will find something that is approved from Wingin. Like if I have to go to Wingin, I always get the crustless quiche that is like absolutely approved.
You can go to McDonald's and do that too. By the way, and there's this whole they have this thing, and you guys can look it up if you want to go down the rabbit hole, where a doctor worked with a homeless person to like reverse their health conditions based off eating dumpsters, food found in dumpsters.
Interesting.
Literally. Because
wait, I don't know about this. What is?
Yeah, okay. So they were just instructed and given a parameter to eat and said, hey, when you're back, behind McDonald's and you're digging through the dumpster and whatever, eat the patties, discard the bun, discard the cheese, find the lettuce, find the tomatoes, eat that. If you're going through and you're getting a chicken breast, take all the breaded piece off of it. If you find one that's been fried, and eat the chicken that's on the inside. And if you can't, try to aim for a chicken breast. And literally, you could go through any drive-thru you want. The problem is you won't, because it starts to smell good. You smell the French fries. You're like, oh, screw it, I'm here already. And you usually get a soda and the fries, which then screw the whole thing up. But you could go to McDonald's and you could get 2 Big Macs. You could strip all the buns off of it, so you just got the patty and you just have yourself the little bit of the sauce in there, some tomato and some lettuce, and you could chop that up and eat it, and you'll still get in a certain amount of protein, fat, and calories, and you won't get all the bad insulin spikes from the buns. But what I'm saying
is that you can have completely delicious food where you don't feel like there's anything missing from this. I didn't have to take anything away. It's just like these people just really care about the quality of food that they're getting, and they're arranging it together. Like Range Life, there's almost everything on that menu. You will be able to go and like all of it is approved because they're putting stuff together in a very thoughtful manner.
Definitely doing the challenge next year then.
But like, and like that's the thing is that you don't feel like
no, you just learn that the food industry is fucked up, and so you just are going back to the not even the bare bones, but just the regular way it works, and you're not letting the food industry
just real food
just rock your world and trick your brain.
Food diet.
Yeah.
Well, that's fucking wow. That's gonna be something more than it is one. Like that's you're like building something really awesome.
No, it's phenomenal. Like like we were saying, like you're going after it for better health, but everyone wants in that 8-week span when I cut Matt off earlier. Like you're going after it for long term, like ways that you're learning and the health benefits that you learn and get to keep, and your routines and your habits and blah, blah, blah. But you do want that little kickstart of the 8 weeks to see some progress, because we get motivated from that. And the progress that people see every year is like, I got to get more permission, because we have before and after pictures, and you get them side by side from front angle, your side angle, whatever. And it is astonishing at what people will do in 8 weeks of just like cutting out the crap in their diet.
Yeah.
And the body fat percentage that'll change, the body weight that people dropped. I think we've lost over like 700 pounds, like collectively.
Yeah.
Each year.
And that's not even, some people are actively trying to gain weight. We have people who are pregnant that are doing it. So like, I mean, their weight doesn't count, but like but it's not a weight loss kind of situation, but like the numbers and the like,
well, I think what you get,
come out of
like
it
whoever you are as an individual, when you go into it, you get what you want out of it. And like, for me, I'm kind of in a place where I'm like, yeah, like I know my body's going to change, like for like maybe for the better, but like to me that's not the most important thing. Like for me is I get a lot of mental clarity and I feel good and I'm able to manage my mental health a lot better when I'm actually eating real foods and creating new habits. So one thing that they know is that they know this. So I guess if I'm announcing it here, I'm making it very, very real, is that I'm actually going to continue doing the challenge for an entire calendar year.
Whoa.
Because like last year I did it, I kept a lot of it off and then I went into a stressful period, as it always happens. It's the fall into the holiday season and I finished it and I told myself like, that's okay. Like you're going to gain weight and like it is what it is. And you're going to get healthy again, like towards the end. I think that's not even what it is gain weight. Like I know that I'm just going to go into an unhealthier part of my life and it's going to be fine. And then I got out of it and I was kind of like, you know what? I think I'm better than that. Like I didn't need to like fall into that place. Like I've done this enough times. Like I know what I'm supposed to be doing, that I didn't actually need to do that to myself. I was allowing more cushion than I actually needed and I'm just better than that. So I'm going to just do it for 365 and I'm documenting my shit. So,
and I think we've talked about it a bit, why is health important? I think we did that, success without health. There's definitely people out there that are successful and not healthy.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yep.
I think, but success is different to everybody, right? So now I guess that's not even the right question, right? It's just a bullet point to suggest a conversation.
I can kind of riff off that because success without health, right? Here's the thing. The number one killer of everybody in the U.S., regardless of what you're going to see on your news station, is going to be obesity. If you look at the top three, it's heart disease, it's some sort of cancer, it's diabetes, right? And all these things are derivatives straight from your lifestyle. So it's amazing to me how we'll change the social fabric of every way we operate with a fear-based economy, right? Off of what's being projected in the news. But yet the one thing that's actually killing everybody, we're not really working towards solve.
Across the board. Across the board of gender, across the board of ethnicity, like just across the board, because we are a system where these big food conglomerates don't give a shit about us and like they're allowed to not. So it's up to us to make these, like we always talk about making conscious like decisions on the things that we consume and supporting people who support us and who care about us and are doing the things that we believe in. And this is another way that you can do that, just by paying attention to like what you're putting into your body.
100%.
Yeah. And going back to the success part, I know lots of, people that have found success in their careers and everything else. And the biggest thing, you could just strike it straight to the heart and you'd be like, hey, that's cool. Too bad you're not going to be living long enough to really enjoy it. Because what you're actually sacrificing in terms of, success in letting your body and everything else go is you're sacrificing your number one, your quality of life. Because even if you do live to 85 or whatever with a bunch of chronic diseases, your quality of life is going to be completely poor.
You're going to need a lot of help.
And I know this directly because my aunt was a diabetic. She held it from us for a long time because she was watching my grandpa. When he passed away, her health issues came out. And the second her health issues came out, she went into a home and she never came out of it. She died just last year and she was on dialysis. Because she couldn't, her kidneys were so shot from her being on diabetes and not doing anything and still continuing to live a sedentary lifestyle where she ate a bunch of stuff out of a box. By the time she woke up from that and had some clarity and was eating some right things, she was bound to a wheelchair because she didn't have the use of her legs. She was also bound to a home, into a machine to cycle her blood through. So what happened is she woke up to only realize that her quality of life was extremely poor. It was very sad because you're seeing there and she's now recognizing what's happening and recognizing she has no life left. And then she's also recognizing that she's still alive for the end of this ride, just sitting in this home. And unfortunately, there was nothing that we could do for her. And this isn't a unique story. More and more people every single day are going through this. And at the same time, the worst thing for those people, the worst thing for my aunt, she would have rather been dead sooner because she didn't want to be a burden on everybody else around her. Yeah. So when we talk about success and when we're talking about health, what we're really talking about here is taking control of your life in every facet. So then that way, as you reach those later years, not only do you have a great quality life, not only can you enjoy the success, maybe you had had some financial success so you could enjoy that part of your life as well. But more importantly, you don't want to have to be a burden on those around you that love you, because that is the hardest thing for those people to deal with. And by the time they recognize it, you can't make any more changes. So looking directly in this camera, if you're listening to this and you know that that's you and you're focused on all the success and everything you have going on, you're completely missing the envelope, because once you become ill and once you lose your health, you're only going to want one thing in your life. Yeah. And by that time, the ship might have already sailed.
Yeah. Listen, if you're going to be wealthy, but you're not going to be fit enough to swim in the Mediterranean Sea, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're telling me you have a lot of money to get there, but then you can't even swim in it? Like,
you can't get down the slide of the yacht?
What a catch-22. Like, that's the biggest fucking letdown.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, and it's,
That's good.
it's just
you'll get away with it when you're younger.
And that's actually kind of happened to me.
As you start to age, though, it's like you start seeing those things creep in and it's already too long. At least on the outward side, you can watch your weight, because that gives you the outward appearance of what's going on the inside of your body. But I mean, weight it's a good marker because it shows you what's going on. But like the inside, your arteries, the way the whole system is working, that thing is screwed up like royally if on the outward, that's what you're seeing. Yeah. So when you're young, when you still have the chance to make the choices, like you got to realize how important that is. Or else as you start to get older and everything starts to just like fall apart, it's going like rapidly down the hole. And again,
it just reaches
what's
a
the
tipping
point of
point.
looking at the sea
if you can't even go swimming in it?
Go in it.
And I think too, that was something that actually drove me to the gym. Is I was working a job where I was like financially very successful, was making a lot of money, but like I had no
miserable.
quality life, and I was absolutely miserable. It was a very terrible time for me. And then, it's one of those things of like, cool, I have all this money to like go take a vacation, but then I can't even like hike to that top point to see like the really good view because I'm so out of shape. Like, what is this? Like, what's the point of
You
this
only get
then?
one body.
Take care of it.
I'm excited. I mean, I've been across CFL for 2 years now, and I'm still finding my rhythm. It'll come. Like, be patient with it, guys. Just keep going.
Yep, that's it.
But it'll come, and of all the things that health can bring, I'd say my favorite thing is the
mental
helmet.
clarity. Yeah.
So with as much I've got my hands in way too many things, and I love it, and I'll keep doing it as long as I can. On the worst days, it's not because I'm physically tired or whatever. It's when I'm mentally drained and can't keep up with all the shit I've signed myself up for.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I get that.
That feeling that you have right after a workout, the few hours after, when you're just like, let's fucking go.
Oh, you'll take anything on.
Buzzing through emails, wang, wang, wang.
Sometimes
wang,
it feels like you're taking like a dirty rag and then you're just like wringing it out. Like
Yeah,
that's what it feels like after you work out.
Oh,
Like
I
you're
like
getting
that.
rid of like all that like shit that's like stuck in there, and you're like,
That
I
seems
get
like
to
a
start
new,
over like
a
clean.
new
I
crew
kind of
neck.
I like that analogy,
It's
because you're right.
like-
Like if you come in,
CFL
Keep me
Livermore.
around.
inside the rag, you're basically dealing with all the crap you've cleaned up,
Yeah.
right? Through the
And you're
whole
just-
week and all the stuff that's been shoveled into you, and on your plate as far as things you have to do, and the never-ending stress of the job and at home life, and for those of you guys that have kids and everything else. But when you step into the gym for the hour, that's exactly what you're doing. You're just letting all that go, just wringing it out.
Yeah. And then it's ready to go for like the next like challenge of it too. I mean, like, and we talk a lot about like mental health, and I like cannot stress enough how much what you eat affects your mental health. Like I learned it took Grace like a good amount of time to like get me, like we realized, hey Savannah, like your blood sugar kind of goes like really up and down, and like that seems to really affect like the anxiety that like you feel throughout the day. So it took a long time to be like, okay, let's see if we can get like a breakfast in, or like, okay, fuck it, we're not gonna get breakfast, let's see if we can get you to get a lunch in, because I was essentially like maybe eating lunch, always eating a big dinner.
Erica does that.
And so like it
You're
was
just throwing the routine was.
it
And
was
then
just
believe
erratic.
it or not, her feelings were also
erratic.
yeah.
So it took like a long
Yeah.
time to like get into it, but like once I started to eat consistently, like it made a huge difference in like how I operate throughout the day. And that's me. Everybody has their own individual thing that I feel like Grace really tackles well. There's some people who actually are like, I need to, like, I'm eating too much throughout the day, and they switch it up. So you do find like a good amount of like individuality as you're doing like this challenge.
Yeah.
Or
for
even
sure.
just Grace's like coaching in general. And I always called it, what did I say?
love this. I got
I
a
always
nickname.
said
I just kid.
that it was not coaching. I always referred to it as nutritional therapy, because every time that you and I would end a session, I was like, no, that was therapy, because I wrote this down as I was like, okay, I'm going to do this for a year. I was like writing down like something that I really took away. And I say this all the time to anybody who will listen to me. One of the things that you did is like you had me keep a food log, and it was super simple. It didn't even have to be detailed, like literally pizza. or salad, whatever it was. And we sat there and it was like 2 weeks long. She was like, cool, like 2 markers out. And she was just like, why'd you choose to eat this? And I was just like, because I was hungry and I was tired. She was like, cool. She was like, did you like it? And I was like, yeah, I fucking loved it. Pizza's delicious. She was like, awesome. She was like, how did you physically feel and how did you emotionally feel after you ate it? And I was just like, I actually kind of felt like shitty. Like it really upset my stomach. I definitely like ate too much. She was like, okay, like let's put a little like sad face right there. And we went through and she was able to look. She was like, so there's a common thread here is that every time you're feeling stressed out and that you don't have enough time, you make a decision that ends up it makes you feel great during it, but then you feel significantly worse than you did before because of that decision. And it was really crazy to look at your life spread out and be like, oh, I am an emotional eater. Like I didn't think I was. Things like that you learn about yourself. And that really affected the way that I consume the world and not just like food. Of like, why do I make the decisions that I make, and are they actually serving me to feel better mentally?
Damn.
Man, it's working, dude.
That's awesome.
I don't want to drop that and make it really loud, but I wanted to mic drop.
No, don't worry, we got it.
No, I
Pin
mean
drop,
that
mic drop.
little last sentence was the whole thing, right? Because like, you know, you start to carry all those different decisions and awareness of your decisions and conscious decision making really starts. If we could break that habit with the food, everything else seems to line up in life, and you start to apply the same framework.
Well, and then we were able to look at it like months later to be like, yeah, actually there was 1 week where I ate pizza and it was
Sorry, this feels appropriate.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
like I ate
The
pizza and
reviews
it
are
was
coming
actually
in.
my
Live studio
choice.
audience.
It wasn't my bad mental health telling me that I needed it. It was because I was genuinely like, no, I really want to go grab pizza with like everybody and have a good time. And it was a good time. And like, sure, my stomach was a little bit upset, but like I didn't mentally feel worse after it because it was at that point my choice.
Yeah,
it wasn't my
conscious decision.
habit. It was my choice to do that.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it.
Well, this has been rich, dude. This is and I'm happy to. I learned a whole bunch today.
Oh, good. I hope that.
Let's fucking
people
go.
take
I
something
think
away
it's
from that.
and I think it's a good transition. I mean, let's just we're gonna try some new stuff with this season's podcast, y'all. And nothing crazy. Just you've known us for talking about hospitality, specifically food and beverage. Talking on Livermore, loving on Livermore, and all the cool people and cogs that make this, flywheel tick and turn and all that shit. And we're going to continue to do that. But we're going to broaden our stroke a little outside the realm of only food and beverage. So, you heard my little banter at, who are these CrossFit guys talking? It's hospitality. We're in the industry of service. And like, spoiler alert, chances are you're in the industry of service.
Yeah.
So we're still going to be talking about these people that make up Livermore and just inviting some businesses that we otherwise might not have interviewed.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a restaurateur. It doesn't have to be a winery. And just continuing to grow, learn our community. We sat down a few weeks ago and chatted about the little partnership collaboration here, which which we're excited to. Well, let's talk about that. So I mean,
Did we come up with a name?
not yet. We're working on it.
Okay.
Are we just dropping Grace Delicious? Is that like you guys can keep that? I'll step back, but you guys can keep it if you wanted to.
Thank
We're
you.
working. We got to something with
really
graceful
nice.
transition, Grace Delicious. We're gonna. It's gonna be. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be hot.
Definitely.
But Matt in particular is going to be joining us a little more often and helping us to just ramp up the value that we're trying to add to you guys. It was when we had the conversation, it was really obvious that it would gel. So like, while our industries are different, what I'm trying to do at wineries and restaurants, in that brief interaction that I get to have with people, is really the same thing that they're trying to do with their community. It's just our medians are different. They're using health and fitness. And in some cases I'm using healthy options.
You're using fun. Because it is okay to have fun.
And it's okay to have fun as well. We're going to be kind of bringing them together and expanding our community and continue to talk about Livermore and all the fucking rock stars.
Yeah. We'll still do some blind tastings randomly every once in a while.
Absolutely.
We will have something wine focused coming up soon.
Yeah, well, actually, we got one already. I mean, there's a choreography event on March 26th, which you guys will hear more about and here on the Instagrams and the interwebs here soon. But we'll still talk wine, of course. That's our community. That's our history. But it'll also allow us to do some fun spin-offs. Another thing, one of our goals this year is to do a few live podcasts. That
So
might be
stay
a little
tuned
more,
for that.
yeah. And I promise it'll be more of a wine tasting. We won't surprise you, and it won't be a CrossFit workout when you come. It could be.
We'll ease into it after
I'll be
a
throwing
while.
some games so I can be the
Throwing
director and just
We'll
watch what
keep
happens.
it. Yeah.
It actually sounds like a really good time.
I mean, with that said, I mean, we jump straight into it, and we're coming towards the end here. But give us your bumper sticker. Who the hell is Matt? Who's this guy that
Snap.
Who's this voice of reason?
Oh, shoot. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, I guess I would like to say that the biggest thing is I'm just a sponge, and hopefully I absorb as much as I can from people that are smarter and have gone the path further than I have. And then when you squeeze the sponge, nothing but value comes out to those around you. So, I mean, that would be the little, on an index card there. But yeah, I kind of stumbled upon my path of onto business and entrepreneurship through CrossFit. At the time when I opened the gym, I originally wanted to be a competitor. I could have been a real contender. But I was offered some great advice from somebody who owned a very successful gym on the East Coast. And he basically said, hey, dude, do you want to be a competitor? Do you want to own a successful gym that adds value to your community? And so with that, I came back and I switched gears and I just started diving.
Day.
Yeah, I mean, I just started diving into education. I was never very good at school. If you could ask my parents, when the report cards did show up, the mail was so sporadic when I was in high school. It was
So weird.
the weirdest thing. Shit didn't get delivered. But when the
Really
report
complain about
card,
this mail person.
when the report card and the progress report did show up, it was always funny because it would be like C-, and then you would scroll over and the comment would be pleasure to have in class. And and so I didn't fit into the framework of traditional school education, and I just remembered really struggling as the transition went from high school to college because a bunch of my friends, they were all had their game plan and they were going to this school and that school, and I started to feel like I was really getting left behind. And so I kind of found art, like you wouldn't really know it now, but I did go to school for Academy of Art University for a couple of years, dropped out of that. So
You did some cool street art stuff.
I was a freelance illustration major. I used to draw people in charcoal, love live figure drawings in charcoal.
Nice.
And then after that, I kind of found CrossFit. When I found CrossFit, I found personal responsibility. And within that, I decided, okay, I'm not just going to kind of float down the path here. At the time, I was bartending as well over at Black Angus. Shout out the Angus. The place isn't even around anymore, but I used to bartend there. And then once I found CrossFit, I decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to better myself in everything. So I did the traditional, going back to Las Positas, pulled that up, pulled my hands. So I went there for 2 years. And then when I had this opportunity with the husband and wife couple that we talked about earlier, they saw my passion for coaching and for helping people and for teaching, and they gave me an opportunity to own a small piece of the gym. And you guys kind of have the rest of that story. And that's pretty much it. I've just dove in head first into education of all sorts. I like to educate myself on finance, on business, on social stuff, sociology, on pretty much anything that I could apply and give value to the business. And so that was it.
Well, and so, I mean, just to kind of wrap up what CFL is, so like if you're looking for a new change, it's never too late to start a New Year's resolution, whatever you call them.
Never.
Or just a nutrition challenge. Like, come on over, like this is what better spot to be. I mean, I'm, like I said, I'm there for the workout. I'd like to be able to touch my toes when I'm 90. That's my goal.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
go. You have so much energy that if you do not have a physical outlet when you're 90, your great grandkids are going to be so annoyed by you.
It's all right. But like at that age, you're just like, it's grandpa.
You're making them sit down and like talk to you.
Like that.
Yeah. And like actually
you want to run with your great
side note real
grandkids.
quick is like the perfect retirement job for me is like being a bagger at just like Whole Foods, forcing people.
That would be great.
Forcing people to just listen to
Little
stories.
conversation.
You're like taking their, you're like, let me help you with your car.
Be with your car. Yeah.
It's like 90-year-old Jeremy carrying all their bags, just like
let's
talking
go.
their ears off.
And as I hand it over, CrossFit.
Yeah.
But go check them out. It's more than a workout, guys. It's more than a workout, and which is why we're sitting here in this room. I don't think we talked about workouts really much at all. We talked about all the things that they do to make it what it is, comfortable. It's for those who want, like, if you want to hear about the workout, like my favorite part about it is you show up. It doesn't matter what level you're at. The strong people, they still lay on the ground with the beginners after a workout. Like the workouts. It doesn't
It's
matter
just
where you
equally
are, like
terrible
you
for
get beat up,
everyone.
like
That's
in
true.
the best of ways.
Yeah,
So like
the best of ways.
you're not, you know, it's and it feels good sweating with everybody in
Yeah.
that capacity. And then you talk some shit after and have some fun, and it's a good time.
It's a good
Yeah.
time.
They got a
That's right.
great water dispenser there, one of the
It's
best
actually
in the
the
land.
It is one of
absolute
the best.
best.
Even if you don't want to come in for the workout, just come on and fill up your water bottle.
Yeah,
Follow
just
us,
come get
so.
some water.
Listen, Nicole
on
and
the
I have done it a
house.
few times. So you can find us head to the website, CrossFitLivermore.com. You can also head to the Instagram that is updated pretty regularly. There is a
very active Instagram. Very active
very
Instagram.
active Instagram. So the nutrition challenge is wrapping up, but
Yeah, last week.
you can also catch us at the Livermore Valley Half Marathon. We will be there
after
afterward.
it.
If you want to mobilize a little bit and see what we're all
Come
about,
say
you're
hi.
more than welcome to come in. Yeah.
Come on in. Come on in.
She
No, go
ran
ahead and
away.
finish up.
Oh no.
That's all right. Come on in. Get in here. We're wrapping up. Perfect timing. We got some of the back of house walking on in here. So,
Jeremy's song.
hey, stay tuned for more, man. The best is yet to come. I think Wednesday 6:30 workout. We're gonna call it the Angus or something. We're gonna figure that
Oh,
out.
let's do it.
believe
But this
so.
is Matt,
Awesome.
Grace Alicious, Grace Elliott. A lot of nicknames today. Talking just a graceful transition. We're happy to be here. Season 5, TTG Podcast. I ain't got much more to say, but eat, drink, and live local, right?
Yeah.
SVC?
I like it.
We're
Be
out.
nice to each other. Bye.
It makes me feel like time is